Mayes Middleton, come on up.
Got one left. One more we brought tonight. Oh man, this is the tip of the spear here. Martha, thank you. I know Mary's sad she couldn't be here tonight. I think I heard she was with her daughter maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll be thinking about her. But I mean, why are we here tonight? Let's think about this. Number one, to elect conservatives. But number two, and most importantly, to defeat the left. Because we all know this is a spiritual battle that we are in. I mean, you're right here on the front lines next to Travis County. You know, that's communism. Yeah. Saying it's socialist it's too conservative a word.
They're to the left of communism.
Yeah, it's to the left, but maybe to the left of communism as well. But I mean, they want to destroy our state. They want to drag Texas down and make it like California and New York. And we've seen what they do, right? They tried to kill President Trump in Pennsylvania. Why? Because he loves America. They did kill Charlie Kirk. Not just because of his conservative values, but because of his Christian faith. They don't think we deserve the right to exist. It's that simple. And that's why we have to beat them here. And look, I'll tell you, I'm the only one in this AG's race that's been protested at the Texas Capitol during this campaign. They had these big, ugly green signs with my face on it, and they called me the bathroom bigot.
Wear it with a bad vibe.
Yeah. Why? Because I don't want men in my women's restaurant.
Thank you.
And I'll give you a little picture of what they look like. It was a bunch of men in makeup and women's dresses.
Disgusting.
Right, this is mental illness that we're up against as well. And you know, they didn't stop there. They have gone after my family. They've gone after my wife, my kids, threatened them as well. And I will not allow people like that to determine the direction of our state or our nation. We can't give 1 inch. And you know, the two Democrats in this race, they can't stop talking about me either. Joe Jaworski and Nathan Johnson, you know, they're running for AG on the Democrat side. And they had a big debate. And in the debate, they said, we got to stop this MAGA Mayes guy. We can't let him get elected.
Good luck with that.
And then the thing that they said they would not enforce, if they were AG, which we won't let them be elected AG, was the Women's Privacy Act. So the laws that I have written and passed are the laws that they said they would not enforce. So look, why am I the only one that's been protesting this race? Why are the two Democrats in this race talking about me as a person to stop? Why are they going after me and my family? Well, the reason why is I'm already defeating the left, and the left knows who their true enemy is in this race. And look, for me, this is a calling. This is not a job. And I think of what our country was founded on here, and especially our state. And our Constitution, the preamble says, humbly invoking the blessings of Almighty God. You know what? That's a prayer. And we are a Christian nation. We are a Christian state. And they'll come turn around and say I'm a Christian nationalist for saying that. Well, you know what? So what? I love the Lord and I love America. And like our president, I take nothing from this job. I don't take the salary. I don't take the pension. I don't take the health care. I don't take the state license plate. I don't take any of it. Not the lobbyist NFL tickets or lobbyist T-shirts. And look, I can't be bought or rented, and the left cannot get to me. The Austin Swamp cannot get to me. And that is why they're fighting to stop me in this runoff as well. And look, for 8 years, I've always been ranked as the top most conservative member in the House, top 1 or 2 most conservative members in the Senate, chairman of the Freedom Caucus. But that voting record, that's not enough, right? Because this is a show me, don't tell me business. Who's tired of politicians telling us what they're going to do? Right? We're all tired of that. They got to show us the results here. And I can show you the results. the strongest women's privacy law in America, which kicks perverted men out. Women's refuge. I took on the atheists and defeated them and got prayer and the Ten Commandments back. Because children need to know God's law. And look, the left is saying, oh, this is harmful, right, to have this in classrooms. Well, which part? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, honor thy mother and thy father, don't murder. Y'all know James Talarico? Yeah. He used to represent this area. Got a district in Travis County, but he claims to be a pastor, right? And he says, not only did he say God is transgender, non-binary, not only did he say that there was a biblical argument for abortion, he said that it was unchristian and un-American to display the Ten Commandments in classrooms. So what did I do in response to that? I bought copies of the Ten Commandments posters for all the schools in his district. They didn't like that very much. I think every Democrat troll came out of the woods that post there. But I also took on our foreign adversaries in Austin and stopped China from buying our land, designated cartels as terrorist organizations, and tripled border security, and have now and have already taken on one of our biggest threats, one of our most growing threats, which is Sharia law and Islamic. Right? Sharia law is organized crime, period. Let me be blunt about that. And I will treat it as such in the AG's office because they really don't believe that we as Americans deserve the right to exist. They also don't believe that Christians deserve the right to exist. And this is not a First Amendment religious liberties issue when they see us as the infidel where they can commit jihad against us. And it is that simple. And look, this is about putting Texas first. This is about our national security, putting America first. And for 7 years, I've been fighting for these laws, writing these laws, drafting these laws, defending them against attacks by Democrat attorneys in the House, defending them against attacks by Democrat attorneys in the Senate, getting them over the finish line, winning. Who better to enforce these as Attorney General than some of those already on the ground floor, writing them and defending these laws against the attacks by the left. And that's why I'm blessed to have earned the endorsement from so many grassroots conservative groups like Texas Values. I see Jonathan Sines right here. The Texas Homeschool Coalition, Texas Right to Life. Riley Gaines has endorsed me in this race as well. David Barton has endorsed me. And not that long ago, one of my primary opponents, Aaron Rice, has endorsed me. Aaron said there are 3 reasons why he supported me. And he's all in, by the way. Number 1, he knows I will use every resource and tool to back up President Trump and his Make America Great Again agenda in the AG's office. Number 2, he knows that I will fight for Texas. And number 3, he knows I will never relent in the fight to defeat the left. I'm blessed to have his support in this race. Look, it's a tough battle. These are tough fights that we're in right now. I mean, you look at what they've done in Minneapolis, right? In Minnesota, where they're blocking ICE. They're blocking President Trump's border security and deportation agenda. So what will I do if they try that in Texas, by the way? We have a very powerful tool called the ban on sanctuary cities. So I've got 0 tolerance for those that are in the way. And we've got local government around here that is doing exactly that, by the way. You just saw the city of Houston vote on that the other day. Right? They're not going to cooperate with ICE. So what will I do when that happens in Texas? I'll sue for 3 things. Number 1, civil penalties. Number 2, criminal penalties. And number 3, the most important one, the best tool, removal from office.
Yeah.
You get in the way of that deportation border security agenda, you get removed from office. It is that simple. And look, our laws, our Constitution, these are not suggestions. And anyone that treats it that way has violated their oath of office and has to be removed from office. And that includes Jose Garza, right? That guy, he said he was not to prosecute criminal trespass, which who does that reward? And then he brought those heroic officers, right, on 6th Street that killed that radical Islamic terrorist. And he's going to bring him before the grand jury. Can you believe that? That's really the darkness that we're up against here. And on organized crime and cartels, I want to start a task force to rooting those out because we don't know what came over the border in the last 4 years. But it is up to us to clean it up. And I think of all those NGOs that are part of that too, those non-governmental organizations, those non-profits. Who funds a lot of that, right? Who paid for the No Kings rally? Who paid for the riots in 2020 from here? George Soros, right? On day 1 in office, I will investigate George Soros for the crimes that I believe he's committed against our great state. Hardly anyone has done more harm, and Alex, his son, as well. Funneling those dollars, which a lot of times we found out in USA were our own tax dollars. That's worse than waste, fraud, abuse. That's organized crime. That's what that really is. And on that, yes, on waste, fraud, abuse, we love cutting it from the budget. But we've got to make sure that those that are committing the waste, fraud, abuse are held accountable under the law and prosecuted as well. Now, election integrity. Marcia and I have worked a lot on that. And look, the reason why that's so important is we can elect all the conservatives we want. But if the election is stolen from us in November, like it was in 2020, that was a stolen election, it does not matter, right? Because one illegal vote cancels out your legal vote. And we've got to make sure only legally qualified citizens are voting in the state of Texas. And that is why I fought to restore the AG's power to prosecute election-related. Because we all laugh at this. I mean, do we really think George Soros DA is going to prosecute voter fraud? No. I mean, of course not. That's why you have to have that backup power to prosecute in the Attorney General's office. That is exactly what I will do. And I will have a task force to investigate and then prosecute those that are breaking our election laws. To make sure that they're not treating it like a suggestion, like they are right now. And look, Macy and I were blessed to have 4 little ones. Connor, Christian, Matthew, Martha, Ann. And yes, the baby, she's got me wrapped around her finger. It is true. It is true. Can't say no. Macy's like, did she go to bed on time? How much TV did she watch? What? Why? Because I couldn't tell her no. But look, those 4 little ones, that's my daily reminder of what we're fighting for here. Because we know the left is coming for our kids.
Yep.
Why the pornography was in the libraries, it's why they're forcing Pride Week on the elementary school students in Austin ISD, and it's why they were trying to gender mutilate them, by the way, both chemically and surgically. It is evil they want to perpetrate on our children. And number one thing they wanted to stop was the chance of Christian education on our kids. That's what the left wanted to stop. Because we all know all authority in government derives from God. And it's our God-granted freedoms that we're protecting here, and I'm fighting to protect. Government doesn't grant us any rights. All of those rights come from God. And that is what grounds me every single day is my faith, because I'll tell you, I do not have the strength within me alone to sustain me in this fight. The only thing that can is my faith. And it is we're saved by grace through faith in Christ alone. That is the only way. And that's what I think of every single day here in this battle that we're in of the light versus the dark. And look, I think of what our founding fathers stood for as well. 1836, right? San Jacinto. We're coming up on that anniversary pretty soon here, actually. But right before that, there was a very important letter. William B. Travis wrote it to Alamo. And he closed it at the end. He said, P.S. The Lord is on our side. You know what? The Lord is on our side in the great state of Texas. But if we don't fight, we will lose it. Now I'll tell you, I'm never retreating from Washington, D.C. because I'm never going to Washington, D.C. I because that is what our state's rights are about. That is what our 10th Amendment is about. And the reason why it's so important is we don't have another Texas to move to. This is it, right here. And I got one more election, by the way. So, Williamson County, I'm so grateful for March 3rd primary. I won by about 10 points in Williamson County. We just need to do it one more time here on May the 26th. Early voting is the 18th. It's coming up soon. And we need to make sure the conservatives turn out in this election. I know a lot of people are paying attention to the city races and municipal races, but right after that is the Republican primary runoff. And we've got to make sure conservatives turn out. Because look, we only have, a few more years of President Trump in office. And we've got to make sure that this state helps him finish the job, and then after that, make sure we're ready for battle against a potentially bad administration, which I'm not saying we're going to lose in 28. But what I'm saying is we need to be ready for that election. We need to be ready to defeat the left. When Washington, D.C., like Joe Biden was doing, came for us. They came for Texas. And the left will do it again. Because they do want to make sure that we get dragged down just like the states they've already destroyed. So thank you for being that vigilant remnant. Thank you for being the tip of the spear. Showing up is half the fight. Showing up is half the battle, and you are the men and women, and yes, there are only men and women. God bless you. And I'd love to answer any questions.
So, saying all that, what are your top 3 priorities for you?
So number one, top priority, is making sure that we back up the president and his border security and deportation agenda. Number 2 is making sure that Texas is the safest state in America to live and raise a family, and that means law and order, tough on crime. Weak on crime makes our families suffer, right? We've seen this in Travis County, we're seeing it in Harris County, we've seen it in Dallas County. And when they're letting criminals out, when district attorneys are treating our laws as some sort of option, guess who suffers? Our families suffer. But more importantly than all of that, the number one goal in any of this is always defeating the left. That is always the number one goal. The list goes on. Election integrity. Also stopping Sharia and Islamification. That's got to be in there too, because look, I think I'm going to follow up on that too.
Can I have a follow-up?
Yes.
So with regard to the judges that let people out, what is the remedy for that you can do?
So we changed the law and the Constitution last session. So you voted on it. Thank you for doing that. It made it easier to remove these rogue district judges through the State Judicial Conduct Commission. Now you got to file a complaint with the State Judicial Conduct Commission. Just like if you want to remove a DA or a corrupt county judge, commissioner.
Texas Constitution, chapter 87.
Yeah, 87. Actually, I changed 87 last session, where before, here was the problem. They had the comfort in knowing that if there was a petition for removal, it was going to go to one of their buddies in the same county. Do you really think a George Soros DA is going to remove or George Soros district judge is going to remove a George Soros DA? Of course not. Or do you think a George Soros elected district judge is going to remove a Democrat county judge or commissioner or school board member, right, or city council member or mayor? So I changed the law last session. When those petitions for removal, school board as well, this was important, what y'all had to go through here. It goes to the presiding judge of the Administrative Judicial Region, which is an Abbott-appointed Republican. And they have to face trial in a nearby county before a Republican prosecuting attorney, before a Republican district judge, and before a Republican jury. So think about, Jose Garza going to trial in Comal County, for example. Right? I mean, that's real accountability that we need, right? That's the accountability that we have to have here. And that's the kind of accountability that I will bring. Because, look, we got too many in office right now. And it's not always Democrats. I mean, I talked about that earlier. It's not. I've doesn't make any difference. Why pass
Right.
them? If they're toothless, if they're meaningless, right? And that's why the laws that I've passed have strong teeth in them, right? That Women's Privacy Act, that's a $125,000 per day fine.
Woo-hoo! Yes.
That's what you gotta do, right? And that includes going after our foreign adversaries as well. That's not just countries, that's enemy entities as well, like CARE and Muslim Brotherhood and all their ilk, because they'll just start renaming themselves. They'll come up with new acronyms, like the Meadow used to be called EPIC, right? It's called the Meadow. We see it all the time in the Capitol. These nonprofits, they just constantly recycle different names to try to evade. No.
We have a meadow starting here in Leander called Renaissance Academy, 19 acres at churches.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
Just Cindy Asmussen
Yeah.
texted me this 2 days ago. And that might be part of your question over here.
Happy?
Mine, well, I just wonder if you have any comments on what was your intent for your Senate Bill 854, because you have an opponent that,
Can't hear you.
you have an opponent that's kind of accusing you of your intent on your Senate Bill
Yeah.
854. So what's your
Yeah.
response to that?
So first, number one, that's the act of someone that's on the ropes, that said they were going to win without a runoff, and got 31% of the vote. That's only 20 points short. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and not only that, he's trying to conceal his anti-Trump, pro-Liz Cheney record. And so what that bill was, is it was brought to me by Christian leaders. Texas Values supported it. The Catholic Conference supported it. Baptist Life Commission supported it. A number of Baptist churches and Bible churches supported it. And some of the stories that we heard is like they couldn't build pro-life housing because liberal cities would not allow them. That happened in Fort Worth. They couldn't build housing for battered women. Right? They weren't allowed to do that. And this advanced, actually, our Christian values, and it's why there were 0 Muslim groups supporting it. It was only, like TPPF as well, that was one of the top supporters of the bill. Also Americans for Prosperity, Texas Conservative Coalition Research Institute, TCCRI, which I'll work with a lot, it's another conservative group. But here's the bottom line about my record on this. Let me set the record straight on Sharia and Islamification. Only the state's going to be able to stop that. I don't think any of us really believe that a county or a city or school district is going to stop this. The state has got to do it. So what action did I take, right? I don't talk about it, I take action. And I put things into law, the tools that we need to use against these Sharia law, Islamification pushers. Because as AG, I can't enforce a bill. I can only enforce what becomes law. So number one, I fought to change the law to stop these epic developments, these no-go zones. And what does it allow? This is HB 4211. What does it allow? It allows me as AG to bring action to deny public benefit. That means no sewer, no water, no electricity, no roads. That means the meadow remains a meadow.
Yes, yes.
Number two, another one. We made it a crime to enforce Sharia law in Texas. But that's got to be enforced, like we talked about earlier, right? All these laws, that's a second-degree felony, right? The penal code. If it's not enforced, though, it doesn't mean anything. I will enforce it. Number three, and this is probably one of the more important tools that I fought for. I was in the conference committee of Senate Bill 17. And what we made sure was in that bill is it's not just stopping China from buying our land. It's not just stopping North Korea. It's not just stopping enemy countries. We're stopping enemy entities. So the AG's office has express authority to investigate nonprofits. That's what these are. CARE, Muslim Brotherhood, the others. The mosques are nonprofits as well. And with that, what do we do with it? We add to the enemy entities list. And as soon as that happens, they're prohibited, not just from owning land in Texas, but minerals, critical infrastructure, timber, water. We know how important water is as well. They cannot own anything in Texas under that law. And the way it's enforced is the AG, we put this in the bill, brings an in-rim action to force them to divest. But there's a fourth thing as well. And it's already in the law, and it's not used very often. It's called a ban on seditious organizations. So a seditious organization is an organization that attempts to undermine our constitutional republic by force or by threat of force. What does that sound like? Threat of force, right? These groups, they want to overturn our constitutional republic and institute their law, which is completely contrary to what we believe in, what we're founded on, and our Constitution, both state and federal. So what does it allow us to do? Number one, you sue them, right? Step one. You force them to sell, right? To divest their property. Number two, prohibit them from doing business in Texas. And number three, dissolve them as an organization. That is a very powerful tool that we have against these Sharia law and Islamic organizations that are attempting to destroy our state and frankly harm us.
Well, there's a couple of us that were down at the Capitol walking the hallways back when American Law for American Courts was in there, and CARE was in those offices too. How much support does our legislature really have, based on your experience down there, to be sharp enough and to want to support and get Sharia law out of here?
Well, I saw Governor Abbott said he's going to add it as an emergency action item next session. But here's, backing up a little bit, CARE has condemned it.
Here, here.
Yeah.
CARE has condemned it.
I know, right?
That's kind of all you need to know. And guess who one of the main opponents to the Ten Commandments bill was, who showed up in committee? CARE did. They registered against it, they lobbied against it. But we always have to strengthen our laws. One of the things that I would like to see is, I totally support Governor Abbott's plan to institute a statewide prosecutor, right? That can prosecute any crime, anywhere in the state. I would also like to see the AG's authority expanded to prosecute any violation of state law as well, including specifically enforcing our laws against Sharia law and Islamification, specifically on that front, because these don't really stop, at a county line, and that is where a district attorney's jurisdiction is. Like right here, who knows who came up with that, and, I would ask on this one, they don't believe in interest, but then they do it anyway.
Well, they've got a mortgage with no interest, and a mortgage bank that is a Sharia bank.
Exactly, and the mosque is the one making what we call and know as a loan. That's what it really is. That's how they're doing this. And so I would ask here, who's financing the mosque?
Right.
That's what I'll investigate. And I can almost guarantee you it's going to be a foreign enemy country or entity.
Yes.
So what happens with that information? You force them to sell their property. Now, shut down the mosque, force them to sell all 40 acres or 20 acres or whatever it is. So that's what 19.
Yes.
Just real quick, Jonathan Sines with Texas Values Action, we have a really good write-up about the question that was asked about Senate Bill 854, and people that have mischaracterized, obviously these are people that support Chip Roy, that have mischaracterized that religious freedom protection bill from last session. Our team has over 40 years of experience at the Capitol on religious liberty particularly, so member of my team, Ashley's here, if y'all want a copy of this. Because there may be some people that want the information, they want to read it themselves. How long is it? 4 pages long. We went into some good detail, just in case people want to see a little bit more information to back up why the claim that was made against them is completely false for so many different reasons. Okay?
Yeah,
It's on our website too. Yeah.
Thank you, Jonathan.
as a student of RISD, I don't think you would believe the kind of stuff they're trying to teach us and what the school board is trying to push on us. My friend here, Arjun, he has been attacked by the school admin and by the school board for being a conservative. And I just want to ask you this question. I know you already hold city councils accountable, but can I have your word that you will also hold the school boards accountable for trying to indoctrinate children like us?
Yeah.
Woo!
I want to thank y'all for your bravery too. I know it's not easy to stand up. I know it's not easy. And honestly, what y'all are doing is a lesson that most people learn much later in life. That we're not in this to be liked and loved by our peers. We're here to do what's right and leave the results to God, and that's what y'all are doing. So God bless you. Thank you for being that voice, not just for conservative values, not common sense on the other side. TASB, who we deal with a lot, TASB, I'll just tell you what that acronym stands for. It stands for Hates Children and Parents. I mean, this is the taxpayer-funded lobbying group, and these things that are happening are paid for with your property taxes. Right? They're the ones that were using their legal counsel to defeat prayer in public school, to defeat the Ten Commandments. TASB even lobbied against the Women's Privacy Act. They lobbied for men and women's restrooms. Can you believe that? And not only that, they lobbied to trap children in schools where they were groomed or sexually abused. We had a bill that said if a child is groomed or sexually abused, they get to go to another public or private school of their choice. And they said, no. So we got to make sure we put parents first, because our rights as parents are from God and not government. And there are a lot that have forgotten that. You saw what Austin ISD did, forcing Pride Week on the kids, which is in violation of SB 12, which we just passed this session. No discussion whatsoever of sexual orientation or gender ideology, whether in school or in clubs. That is illegal now. And I will enforce the law to protect our kids and protect parents. And the things that we've seen where parents are silenced, like in Plano ISD, that was anti-Semitism mainly there. And what did they do? What was their response? They changed the board policy and limited public comment. They silenced taxpayers. They silenced moms and dads. And they're trying to silence you as students for being brave and standing up for what's right. And I will not put up with that. So thank you for your boldness.
Well, you can see my shirt. So I just have to speak up and say, like, so Texas has had a history of low voter turnout rate, and for many decades, and part of that is because of the lack of Hispanic turnout rate. Republicans cannot win statewide elections or any congressional seats without the Hispanic vote, especially in South Texas and West Texas. And you can look at all this and see the difference when Hispanics actually do turn out in the state. So I was wondering, like, how much time are you going to spend in South Texas and West Texas? And, are you going to get your advertisements and your stuff in Spanish for Hispanic voters?
So I've already spent a lot of time in the Coastal Bend, the RGV, and South Texas. That is a great question, by the way, because you're right. I mean, this is faith family voters. Right? There's so many. Like, I was working polls in 2024, November, for Adam Pinojosa and Janie Lopez. And I bet they're on that list right there. And the thing that I heard again and again, and Tano Tiarina, right? He's the one that the county judge in Webb County that changed parties. He was Democrat, and he switched to Republican. And what I heard over and over is, I can't be a part of the party that allows a man to play girl sports with women. Because the left is not even an war against conservatives. They're an war against common sense. Right? They're trying to eliminate oil and gas jobs down in the valley and the Coastal Bend in South Texas. They're going after families. They were trying to get, of course, as we know, men in the little girls' showers. And people had enough. And that was amazing to see those results in 2024. Also, an outstanding president. President Trump is the best president we have ever had in America, bar none. But we've got to put in the hard work. We've got to put in the hard work. So, Janie, Denise Villalobos, I was in Corpus today. She flipped a seat that had always been Democrat in Nueces County. J.M. Lozano was one of the first to do that. Ryan Guillen changed parties as well. John Lujan. They have all endorsed me in this race for Attorney General because I show up to the fight. I put my money where my mouth is. This is about advancing conservative values, right? And making sure that Texas remains the greatest state in America. And we will lose that Texas exceptionalism if we don't keep turning out voters in the RGV, South Texas, Coastal Bend. The state's over with, right? So that is incredibly important. I think school choice is a big part of this too, right? Because there's so many families. The number one, I guess, subscriber or sign up for school choice is going to be Catholic-based private schools. That's going to be the number one. We're saying to the moms and dads in Texas, we trust you. We trust you to decide what is best for your own child, because before, only government got to decide how the money is spent. Now we're saying families get to decide how that money is spent. And that's the opportunity we stand for. We're supposed to stand for here in Texas and in America, because it's not about equality of outcome. It's about equality of opportunity, where everyone has the same chance. And school choice is one of the best ways to do that, because every child is different. You know, I have 4. Every single one of my kids is different, very different from each other. They all learn differently. We homeschool, and I see that every day. Well, we've got to trust parents to decide this. Nobody knows their child better than a mom or a dad. And that's what that's about too, empowering parents. And one of the largest sign-up rates was down in South Texas, Valley, and Crystal Bend. So,
Speaking of school choice, is there a loophole in that bill, in the way that we define schools to ask for money and undertake that education? As Kelly Hancock had said, no, we're not going to, but the Supreme Court here in Texas said, yes, we're going to. So we're paying, our tax money is using youth funds Islamic education. Is that something, there's a law that we don't know about, is this a law that needs to be crafted to close that loophole? What is?
well, so this is the number. $0 is the amount of money that should go to Islamic schools.
Right.
I will make sure to defend the comptroller's office. I know, John Huffine is about to be our comptroller. He has the same position. Very good now. And we're going to make sure, and Kelly Hancock is already finding this too. Unfortunately, those groups challenged it. And temporarily they won it, which we're appealing. It's only about 4 schools, I think, so far that slipped in the door late after the applications closed. But we can win that. I expect that we will win that. And the reason why is one of the things I just talked about. We're not allowed to contract with any entity in Texas. We changed the law to make sure that was the case, with strong penalties for that. And also, you got to look at seditious organizations as well. Right, that law that I talked about earlier, that's been on the books since 1993. Bottom line is we need to use every resource and tool to make sure that these schools are not in school.
Any other questions? I spoke with you briefly about this, but I'd love to elaborate with the HRB visas. Schools are mostly changing for like pre-K is becoming English as a second language for people who are from out of the
were having to subsidize in Texas illegal immigrants getting in-state tuition. Right, so a citizen in Louisiana could go to UT Tyler and they pay out-of-state tuition. But if you broke the law and you came here illegally, you get taxpayer subsidized in-state tuition. That's wrong.
So wrong.
We've got to turn these magnets off once and for all. The taxpayer should not have to subsidize this. That's why we got to overturn Plyler versus Doe, which is the Supreme Court decision that says we have to pay for the education for illegal immigrants. No, we shouldn't have to do that.
No.
That's wrong.
Didn't Trump raise the price of doing that H-1B?
It was tremendously raised. I mean, like,
Five.
I forget what the number was, 100K or, yeah, something like that. You know, huge.
So you, on a national level, for instance, the H-1B visas and stuff, you would be open to joining other states and filing lawsuits to,
We need to make sure we end it, right? This program is corroding our communities because it's encouraging people to come here. From, and not just out of state, obviously, this is from out of the country. These are foreigners that are coming. And we just have to put our students first, right? I don't want them to take jobs from these two students that are sitting right here. Is that right? No, that's not right.
Greg Abbott, there was a video that went around that he was like, people are welcome from India, this is your second home, basically. So anything you would do regarding H-1 visas, I think would be contrary to what Greg Abbott's wants. How would that work?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is obviously a federal law that would have to change. But investigating the fraud, that is exactly what we should do and what I will do as Attorney General, right? They're committing fraud to help people that are taking jobs from our citizens. How is that good for Texas? Because this is about putting Texas first. This is about putting America first. And when you put your hand on the Bible, protecting our laws and Constitution, our state, you're supposed to mean it. And I do, every single day.
Just piggybacking on that question, and just wanted to get your thoughts on the relationship and independence of the AG office and the governor's office. What begs the question is, I lived in Hawaii for 6 years, and in Hawaii, the governor appoints the AG. It's not an elected office. And so I want to know, like, if you're a bit more conservative than, say, Governor Abbott would like, do you have a measure, like you want to defeat the left more than he wants to defeat the left? Will he, he can't do anything about that? Or what would you speak to that relationship? What do you
Well, I'm not surprised that in Hawaii they have appointed an AG. It hasn't gone very well there. You know.
Nope.
That's, talk about the Green New Scam and all the other, remember what they did in COVID in Hawaii? It was insane. It was crazy. You know, they were saying quarantine for 3 weeks, can't go to church. It's what the left always does, though. They see our faith as a threat, and the reason why is they want people to believe that the only rights that you have are the ones the government gives you.
That's right.
And that's how the government in Hawaii works. But no, this office is a constitutional role. It is an executive level position. The AG's office has 4,000 employees. It has 750 attorneys. And you're not just some appellate attorney. You're not just some attorney. Ken Paxton's never in the courtroom. The reason why is he's busy leading, as he should be. And you're setting the conservative agenda for this entire state, and the whole country follows. Because so goes Texas, so goes America. And you gotta have someone that has the experience signing the front of a paycheck, which I do, and knowing where the buck stops. And the other guy in this race has worked for government almost his entire life. Right? And that's a huge problem. It creates a judgment issue because you've got to hire the best talent to execute on this and deliver these victories for Texas, because that's what it's about. If we don't win, what does it matter? Right? We got to win these fights. And the other states do follow us. I've talked to a lot of other attorney generals around the U.S., and they really are waiting on Texas with this. Like one of the conversations I had was on the curriculum. Right? We just had that before the State Board of Education, making sure that children are learning about biblical values, about American exceptionalism, how important our veterans are, how important in the oil and gas industry is to keeping the lights on, and how the Green New Scam is bad for us, and too small, a lot of these states are, to really impact change, like with Pearson and some of the publishers and things like that. But we're so big that they get the benefit from it, in other words. So Texas is able to change it for everyone else, essentially. So if we're not leading boldly and winning these fights, it's actually more than just Texas itself.
Senator,
Go ahead.
Senator-
One last question.
Senator, how can this Republican club help you?
Thank you. Well, look, y'all are grass tops leaders. You know, you like I mentioned earlier, you're the ones that people look to. Every single one of you in this room, people come and ask you, who should I vote for, right? And I hope when people ask you, who's our man in the AG's race, you say Mayes Middleton. That's number one. Number two, making sure that people turn out to vote. Because it always is a low turnout in the runoff on May the 26th. We got to make sure our people, and these are MAGA voters, by the way, our MAGA voters turn out to vote on the 18th through the 26th. But number three, we're in this together. And so I need your help. Marsha needs your help. Mary needs your help. Because it's not very many that change our great state. It just takes a small handful of men and women that really believe in it, that have the conviction in their heart, and never give up. And I'll tell you, you know, for example, in October, I was probably down 30 or 40 points. And there were people saying, oh, you should just run for Senate, or you should just, you know, stay in your position. And I said, no. This is a calling. I'm going to do what's hard and what's right. I got up every day. I never backed down. I never relented. I never gave in. And I climbed the mountain one step at a time and ended up in first place at 39%. We got to do it one more time. I am jealous of those states. You know, some states don't have runoffs, and I was very aware of that on election night, obviously. Seeing the states where someone came in first place, but not over 50, and that was it, they had won. And I'm like,